Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good morning to all the viewers. You're watching Stocks in Focus and I'm Hiral Datia. One company that we have been watching out for is a Century Plywood. Clearly, the numbers have been in line with what the street was estimating. The revenues are up 10%. Margins have improved as well. However, that number is slightly below what the street was estimating. And in terms of the profit number, the Bloomberg estimate said 99 crores. The number has come in at around 97.1%. Let's welcome in our guest to understand the quarter as well as the trajectory going ahead. Keshav Bhajanka, Executive Director at Century Plyboards, joins in. Keshav, good morning and welcome to the show, and wishing you and the team a happy new year.
Good morning. Wish you, your team, and all your viewers a very happy Diwali, and thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Keshav, let's start with the numbers. Clearly, firstly, have they met your internal expectations? And number two, from a guidance perspective, you have maintained it with regards to all the three segments between plywood, laminates, and MDF segments. Uh, if you could help us understand what how is it looking like?
I think it was a relatively difficult quarter. On the ground, demand was not as robust as we have been used to in the recent past. Perhaps due to the fact that new launches that have taken place will take a little time before they reach the stage where our products are going to be consumed. Having said that, there was also sustained raw material pressure. I think under the current circumstances, we have done reasonably well, and we are very bullish on both the short and medium term as well as the long term, of course. The reason being that the housing cycle has turned. Being the market leader, we will benefit from both the spurt in real estate as well as the tendency to shift towards the organized market. And I think that the steps we have taken shall show results sooner rather than later.
Right. So clearly a difficult quarter, but moving into a bullish upcoming quarters with the real estate pullback that we are seeing. With all of this said and done, if you have to look at FY24 as a year, uh, clearly the revenue growth guidance has been maintained for plywood laminates to 10% and double digit as well, where increased MDF volumes is what you're looking at. So clearly, where is the growth expected to come from if you have to look at the various segments?
I think, like you rightly pointed out, we are looking at growth right throughout. A number of the initiatives that we have given are fructifying. Plywood, of course, has performed very well and continues to look robust. We have further cemented our position as the market leader, and this is not just due to volume growth, but the fact that we have been able to maintain our margins alongside volume growth, which for the rest of the industry has proven very difficult. It has been growth at the cost of margins, which is a step that we don't really foresee us having the need to take. MDF, the growth has been robust. Our new capacity has come online, and that is aiding our growth. As you know, till last year, we were under capacity constraint, and because of the same, we were unable to grow. With the Andhra capacity coming in for both MDF and laminates in H2, I am further confident of an uptick in growth, and the trajectory looks very good.
Right. So, with both of these aspects into consideration, let's look at a couple of other aspects in terms of revenue contribution. Are you expecting that mix to change, taking into consideration the capacity addition that we're seeing for MDF as well as laminates?
I think that the capacity growth for MDF is going to be substantially higher. As you have very correctly pointed out, we were at a 600 cubic meter capacity as of February of the current calendar year, and that moved to 900 plus as of March. And by March of the following year, we will be at close to 1900 cubic meters of capacity. So the scale in MDF is drastically changing, and due to the same, I think the contribution of MDF is likely to be higher. The pace of growth, as I've already mentioned, will look higher. Plywood and laminates, we are fairly confident that we'll meet our guidance and we'll be growing, but the pace of growth in MDF as a category is likely to be higher.
Okay. Uh, One question I have with regards to the MDF segment, Keshav, is that imports are also going up with regards to MDF goes, right? simultaneously, from a domestic perspective, you're already adding capacity. You have full conviction with regards to that segment as well. How does that stack up for the domestic players and a company like yours with imports also increasing? Or is it a situation where the demand is such that the domestic players are not able to meet the demand and hence the imports?
I wouldn't really say the demand is at a stage where, it is so robust that all the
Hmm.
new capacities will be absorbed immediately and imports can scale up drastically. Having said that, setting up a capacity and utilizing that capacity are two different things. I think, in the past also we have stated that in MDF, it takes a relatively longer time to utilize the capacity, but we have been, well, by virtue of being the market leaders in various segments, we have been able to ramp up capacity far faster than others. Now, steps like the introduction of BIS in MDF, which is likely to come into effect from February of next year, are further likely to, to restrict the imports as opposed to domestic manufacturing. So I think we have substantial tailwinds. Going forward, we remain fairly confident that within the first 2 years, we will reach 80 to 90% capacity utilization for the capacities that we are bringing in.
Okay. And if you have to look at the other part of the business from the timber part of the business as well, uh, how is the price trend looking like? Because clearly in the second quarter there was an uptick. Again, third quarter you've seen some bit of softening that has happened as well. So what's the trajectory looking like and how does it impact business?
I think, that's a very difficult question to answer because I'm not an economist. But having said that, yes, you're completely correct. Second quarter, there was a spurt. This quarter, there has been a softening in timber prices. And we're hoping that timber prices, while they don't, further go up, but elevated timber prices are actually in our favor because this leads to a higher quantum of agroforestry. And as you know, agroforestry being the primary raw material behind our product categories is required if you want to scale up and grow alongside, other countries, for example, a China or a Vietnam. The agroforestry has been at a far more progressive state than India. So I'm hoping that, yes, the prices don't increase further. But I'm also hoping they don't soften too much because the incentive to the farmers would reduce. Currently, the quantum of agroforestry that is taking place is substantial and it bodes very well to our growth prospects in the long term.
Hmm. Okay. And from a utilization perspective, I think what 70 odd percent is where the this has been so far. How are you looking at it in terms of the second half of FY24 from a utilization perspective, and what would the capex then look like?
Um, we are, the capex is fixed, like we have already guided. The Andhra projects are likely to come, both laminate and MDF are likely to come online by the end of the current financial year. The particle board project is likely to come online by the end of the next financial year. And I think utilization, the attempt will always be to ramp it up as quickly as possible. But the utilization will increase in line with the guidance that we have given.
Okay. So that's from a utilization perspective. Apart from that, if you see in terms of the overall capex, how much are you looking to incur in the next 6 months, and how does FY25 pan out?
So the overall capex that we are doing is across all our product segments. As you're aware, we are doing 700 crores in the capex in MDF in Andhra Pradesh, 200 crores in the laminate capacity in Andhra Pradesh. Um, I think 500 crores plus in the capacity in Tamil Nadu for particle board and 100 crores for the new plywood capacity in Hoshiarpur. And we are broadly in line with these estimates for the new capexes. This will be spread across this year and next year. So it will depend on how fast we're able to set up the capacities.
Okay. And my last question, Keshav, coming to you is with regards to where hiving of the logistics division is concerned. That has been approved by the NCLT. What's the next step and how are you looking at it?
Our objective has always been to generate, value for all our stakeholders, including our shareholders. So I think when we get a good valuation for the logistic entity, because it remains a fairly robust entity, it remains a very very good asset that has been created, and now with backward integration, the prospects have suddenly become far better. So once the backward integration, once the operations at the berth and the dock start, I think we'll look at a very good valuation for the asset. And at that point, I think it would make sense to further consider divestment. Right now, at the current valuations, we are not very keen on divesting.
Right. So that's with regards to where the logistic business is concerned. Thank you, Keshav, so much for joining us on the show and sharing
Thank
your
you.
views clearly. This is one of the stocks, in fact, on the channel as well that we have been focusing on lately on the back of the real estate upcycle, wherein the ancillary companies are the ones that will gain to benefit overall. And, Century Plyboards could be one of the beneficiaries as well. And if you see from a stock price perspective, today the stock is seeing marginal gains. Again, on a YTD basis as well, 24% is the kind of up move that we'll see on a Century Plyboards. But moving on, Star